Hey, welcome back to Overhead Athletics. I'm Max Wardell. Today I'm joined by Leon LeBrake here. He's pretty awesome. He's got some great material online. We're going to actually link his TED Talk on bandwidth down in the description, so you got to check that out because Leon does a bunch of stuff with financial planning. He does a bunch of really cool stuff with personal finance, but also just improving your communication skills. And he's actually in because of his shoulder, and so we're going to take him through a little bit of a progression that we use a lot of times in just getting that last little corner of range of motion, overhead flexion, some strength in different planes. And I want to thank Leon for being on this video and being with us through therapy here at HealthQuest in Oxford. But today we got a nice progression for overhead strengthening and actually getting into the end range flexibility as well as improving some control throughout that range. And this is going to be what he's going to continue after he's done here. So let's get into that progression. So a little bit on Leon's shoulder here. Has had a replacement of the shoulder and we're working on that end range flexion. So I like to get him used to a little bit of traction. We've got our jump stretch band here, just trying to distract and decompress and offload that shoulder a little bit. And then after he feels like this one's kind of loading him up and he can tolerate it, we're going to have him start flexing forward and bending forward and then letting it pull him overhead. And now once it's pulling him, he's going to try to resist and try to pull that shoulder blade down and back a little bit and then relax and let the band pull him out. And he's going to find that tension where he can really get into that position. And his end range flexion is pretty good. We're just trying to get him a little bit of control, scapular control, where he's actually coming up and in and out of that position just a little bit there. And then we'll have him open up his chest. So try to face that way just a tad bit there. And then he's in abduction more here, and he can lean towards this side to target that a little bit more and stretch through this lat. And then if he's feeling really advanced, he can try to get that arm up into that tight top corner there and face towards the camera. We're trying to avoid some pinching. And if he gets a little bit of impingement or pinching here, he just changes his orientation of his body just enough to where he doesn't get that anymore. So that's kind of our first one here. We're going to move into the next one, which is going to start to control some rotational range of motion in a bit of flexion. So now this is a pretty popular exercise nowadays online. And he's going to try to control internal rotation as he drops down. Chest is up tall, so he's always working on posture, and then straight up to vertical. So he can get some control of that bottom of the range, which is really the opposite of up here in flexion. And he's just kind of controlling that range. This is a 5-pounder. I'd like him to be able to progress to about 15 pounds long term. Just try to strengthen that posterior rotator cuff, that back of the shoulder. I don't want to see that knee dip out even further. So he's keeping that leg up as vertical as he can. He's probably getting a little bit of fatigue going now. Good. Having Leon here has been pretty awesome because he's got so much knowledge that he's been able to share with me just in my short time working with him. So it's almost like I give him a little piece of shoulder information. He gives me a little piece of information on personal relationships or communication. All right, good. So there's number 2. 3, we're going to go on to the floor here, and we're going to get your thoracic extension over the roll. This is one of our favorite ones to do just in everybody because that thoracic spine gets really stiff, and we can steal a few more degrees to get you in that full overhead range. And now what I like to do early on is really support the neck. As he gets more advanced, what we like to do is say, all right, we can either support the neck with the hands behind the head, or when we get to that upper back, and we'll find a few places throughout the spine, maybe from here up to the top of that thoracic spine, and we'll spend a few minutes on each. Once we get to the top, you want to scoot that way just a tad. Good. We're up at the top of the back here, right below the neck. I'm going to have you reach up overhead with the arms. So now we're getting a little bit of flexion, and then you come out of it. Don't hang out in it too long. And then back into it again. And just spend a few minutes on each of these. We like to do, sets of 2 or 3 sets of 10 reps when we actually do our strength building exercise. When we're doing one of these mobilizations, it's go into it until you make a change, until you improve your range, and then keep going until you stop achieving improvement. So we got that. We like that one quite a bit right there for him. And then once we've kind of done some mobilization of that thoracic spine, we'll pop back up and we'll go into the opposite direction once again, which is our push-outs to try to strengthen that top of the rotator cuff. So now we're working on the top portion of the rotator cuff. He's in a good posture, arms are nice and straight. And then we're doing this one, these pulsing style exercises for sets of 30 seconds to a minute. This is a green band, and then he's going to keep working on that and progress that to a minute and a half with the green and then bump up to a blue. And then we can try to do some with the thumbs forward if that gives you pain, or we can try to do some with the thumbs towards the pockets if you don't like that way. So you find a variation that works for your shoulder, and then you continue to increase your endurance in that range. So starting pocket height, coming out to about there, good. And the last one we like to do is either on the counter, or we can even do it on the wall. We'll find a wall or a doorway, give ourselves a little bit of compression where we're leaning in. So I want you to lean in a little bit, and then he can flex into those different corners. Wherever he feels tight, thumb can go up. I like to start with the palm flat. But now he's got a little compressive load through that shoulder, and he's going to come in and out of it. And kind of find where that, can you move those hips forward a little bit? Kind of extend like through the hips, so you're almost like you're in a push-up position on the wall, but with one arm. There you go. And he's kind of finding those positions, and then he's going to kind of duck down, try to stick the butt back towards me. There you go. Find those end range positions, and then you can do it facing out this way too, towards the window, to try to find those kind of corners. And you'll see this is where he loses a little bit of that stability. So now come up a little higher, creep that hand up the wall. Good. Now we really challenge him here. And if he gets pinching or pain here, he can always go thumb to the sky. There you go. Yep. And he's just kind of getting a little compressive load through that new shoulder, which is sometimes the most limiting aspect of the shoulder, but it's an aspect that you want to be able to put some compressive load through the shoulder and get into some other positions, and maybe 5 to 10 pounds of compressive load as he kind of goes into these corners, and should feel a little bit of stretching through here. So now keep that hand flat. Let's go palm on the wall again, and then let's lean out this way. So you're trying to dip this shoulder. So you try to dip this shoulder down in that way. There you go. You okay there?
Mm-hmm. Feel it.
Feel it under here?
Yeah.
Good. And that's when he can start to progress long term, and you can do this in your hotel room. You can do this one wherever you want. You can take any more trips to Hawaii?
Yeah.
Is your Hawaii? There you go.
Do someplace warm.
Warm, yeah. Anywhere warm. We're still cold here in Michigan, and then he can even come and reach across towards me. So stay there and kind of hit a little different corner there. And spend a couple of minutes a day working on that shoulder. You can see that flexion's already starting to improve here. And with the total shoulder replacement, we're talking about not the reverse shoulder, but the standard total shoulder. 10 degrees variation side to side is usually our goal. So if he could get, let's say, 160 on this side, we want 150 on the surgical side. Where can people find you? We're going to link your TED Talk below, but
online, Sequoia Financial Group, or just Leon LeBrec. So.
And LinkedIn.
Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn.
And we'll put that on the screen.
And the same with Max too. So
yeah, we're both
guy in the business. So connect with him.
Hey, thank you. We'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, bell for notifications.